Hello and welcome back to the class of 5G in the section of 5G. In last lecture, we saw how it was impossible to fit all of the future internet-enabled devices into current multiple access schemes. The first step to overcome this is to expand the frequency band as always, but this time there's a lot more organized thought process behind it, and that too for a reason. The new proposed solution is called 5G NR or 5G New Radio. The agenda of 5G New Radio is to open up new bands while recycling old ones. These new bands include frequencies as high as millimeter waves, which is even greater than 6 GHz. And of course, while we're at it, we need to utilize them efficiently. This demands 3 actions in total. First, reclaim the analog bands by completely shutting down 1G. Second, improvise the use of 2G, 3G and 4G bands to make sure they are not wasted. And third, open up licenses for millimeter waves. Gladly, the reclaim part is almost done. Nobody uses 1G in the world anymore. Well, apart from Russia. The 2G, 3G and 4G bands are still divided into circuit and packet switch networks. The emphasis is to switch all of them to packet switch networks by eventually stopping the support for circuit switched ones. But why? Well, if we look at consumer and service provider landscape, the consumers are divided into groups of 2G, 3G and 4G users. If the consumers keep this division up, the service providers will have a harder time since they will have to keep backward compatibility settings and 2G infrastructure up and running all the time, which can be costly, and eventually the cost will be recovered from the consumers, which means no cheaper plans. Instead, if they slowly move consumers to 3G and VoIP 4G, they can make those networks even cheaper while opening up frequencies for better uses. Pretty similar but less radical approach than shutting down 1G. Finally, opening up the new frequencies. Let's have these time versus height frequency graph again. This time, high frequency means the event is happening too many times in a second. The waves are really thick and the band is really wide. It can house more users than ever, and that is essentially what we need. But there are some potential issues. I'm saying potential issues because they are still being argued over and yet to be proved. One of those issues is low frequency can pass through objects directly, which was the case till now. But the same cannot be said for higher frequency. It might get absorbed by the objects. On top of that, it will definitely travel much less distance compared to low frequency due to the wavelength being lower. So, what to do? One possible solution to house such high frequency is this. Remember how we used to place one BSC per cell which had omnidirectional or array antennas? We can replace those antennas by multiple array antennas with much higher frequencies and much focused waves in much more directional fashion. This is called beamforming, a beam instead of a wave, and one array can form large number of beams at different directions. In a large cell area, multiple of such beamforming antenna arrays can be placed to counter the short distance problem. We have already seen MIMO. That can be taken to a next stage by having even more outputs multiplexed and even wider inputs processed. This is called MIMO or massive MIMO. But that has created a fear of users having their whole life around antennas. Apart from the installations being most time-taking and potential chances of antenna robberies, what else can be so bad about it? Well, there's a significantly large faction that believes that since the large frequencies don't pass through our bodies and get absorbed, they can cause cancer. And it can cause damage to other elements of environment like birds, animals and trees as well. While the rest of the people argue that the chances of such high frequency causing cancer is as low as getting cancer by drinking 1 cup of coffee a day. Yes, in theories, those chances exist, but that has never stopped anyone from ordering their favorite cappuccino. But a world full of antennas is not the only crazy thing. Remember Facebook? They're planning to spread internet over flying carbon nanotube airplanes, while Google wants to do it with hot air balloons. They are not the only ones in this top-down internet race. Amazon wants to do it with drones, while Tesla plans to go 50 steps ahead and do it via satellites. But these are all moonshots, and whether they will happen or not is highly unpredictable. The world is still divided in case of opening up the frequencies. So, to look at their debate, let's check out the cheers and fears of new radio. While new radio in theory provides massive sustainability and wide spectrum, its implementation is going to be anything but standard. It will take enormous time. While it fulfills the dream of making all IP communication cheaper with cheaper data plans, millimeter waves have potential health risks which are yet to be verified. And while latency control is a dream come true, more damage to environment and biodiversity is certainly a nightmare. Times like these make you think that maybe it is better to save a few species of sparrows rather than making Siri capable of keeping my refrigerated orange juice perfectly cold while I wake up on my alarm. And yes, that's definitely a responsible way of thinking. It should be appreciated. But great minds at least give one shot to get the best of both worlds. And how do we do that? In next lecture, we will see how we can make the world a better place without putting it into chaos with 5G. Till then, happy learning, and I hope you have a great day.